You ready?
Yep. Let's go. Should be good. Yep, it's playing. Hello everyone, and welcome to 100% LCFC. My name's Neil. It's been a while, and yeah, hopefully you can see there's James as well.
Hi,
and yeah, welcome
tonight.
to 100. Yeah, just welcome. So we thought we'd open up. What is this show about? So it's basically a bit more informal chat, kind of your opinions about what you think is going on with this transfer window. It's going to be a kind of a review of last match and looking forward to the match coming ahead. As we've not got any, I thought me and Jade would go through a couple of the transfer windows, for example. So we have total signings in. So we can see James Justin for 8 million, Ayoze Perez 30 million, Daly Campbell, George Hurst, Ali Rigba. They're all going to the under 23s, so that should be good for an undisclosed fee. Mitchell Clark as well in the under-23s, Yuri Tillemans, who we've all been dying to see, and Dennis Pratt, who's just come in about an hour ago. The club have confirmed it, so as glad we don't have another Adrian Silva on our hands as well. And for the outgoings, we've got Shinji Okazaki, Danny Simpson, Daniel Everson, Josh Knight, Elliot Moore, Ryan Loft, Harry Maguire, which is a big talking point we're still talking about to this day, and Leighton Nduku. So, how does everybody think the transfer window's gone so far? Is there anything that anybody you'd want to bring in on a scale of 1 to 10? I know Phil keeps talking about how we've potentially gone backwards. I feel like we're in a good step at the moment. I think we're in a good position to move on to this season. But Ian Widowson says Prate, not Pratt. I can't pronounce it properly. Yes, it was just a last-minute thing, I think, James. It was something that's coming in, I think, just recent, over the last couple of days. I don't think we were linked to him for a while, were we?
No, I think early on in the transfer window, I think a lot of fans thought we were going to get him with his Yuri Tillemans connection. Played amazingly well at Anderlecht. He then went to Sampdoria. Plays really well as a centre mid in Sampdoria. Saw quotes today from their manager saying he's one of the best Italian midfielders there is. I think it's a great buy. Not sure where he fits in currently, but I personally think he's a great central midfielder. But what do we do with him? And we've not bought any wingers, so it leads me to believe that our two wing backs are also going to be wingers and kind of pack the middle of the midfield and use Chilwell and Ricardo just to run down the flanks.
Yeah, it makes sense. And also, the problem is we saw last season we played the 4-1-4-1, which can work, and luckily, heaven forbid, we don't get any injuries. But with that system, if we do get an injury to Tillemans or Maddison, and if it's a long-term injury, we have to change the way we play. And it gives us another dimension. He can kind of fit in right there in the attacking position. We could say Perez really does a job, or Brighton maybe in that midfield position could do a job, but we'll have to see, because we did need another person. Whether this Prayet, I need to hear them when they play the football to actually how the pundits pronounce them as well. But yeah, I think he's going to be a good signing. I think we've been wanting somebody like this for a while. I think the only thing that I think a lot of people were asking for was a replacement to Maguire and maybe a backup to Vardy. But that's something that we've been talking about for a while. Should we move on to the next bit?
Just before, I just wanted to have a quick conversation around the outgoings as well. Bit surprised we haven't seen more outgoings. I thought I'd see Slimani go. I thought Matty James might go, but probably good that they stayed. We've not seen the squad of 25 yet. Harry Maguire went for 80 million. I know we've put 68 million on this because obviously we had to give Hull 15% of that fee. But I think overall it's a good transfer window. Don't know what you guys think. But I think overall it's quite good. We've finished the season quite well. We've not really lost any of the assets apart from Maguire. So I think overall it's a great season ahead of us.
Yeah, and I think one other thing we forgot to put on there in total outbounds is we've lost Callum Elder as well. So he's been doing quite well on loan. I remember he went to, was it Wigan last year or the year before? And he was kind of in and about the squad. And I thought before we bought James Justin, he would come into that left wing position, left back position, sorry, if Fuchs was going to leave. And then we bought James Justin. So I think his spot has been pushed down the pecking order. But all the best to him. I think, yeah, there's one that we forgot off the list. But apart from that, I think it's been a good season, to be honest. I think the main thing when we were coming into this season was make sure we get the Tielemans deal sorted, and we've done that. To be hand on our hearts, we knew that Maguire was going to go, but the reason why I think last year we bought Benkovic, we bought Soyuncu, was in case Man United came last year. Now they've come, now he's gone. Now we've played Soyuncu, he's got a year experience in the squad. I think he can do a job. It's not definite, but I think under the right coaching with somebody like Evans next to him, I think he'll be a great addition. So if you've got any questions, any queries, anything, leave them in the comments. But I think apart from that, you've got anything else to add?
Just
James?
one thing to add with regards to Slimani, I thought he might go to one of the Turkish teams, but I do know that I think they have until August the 31st when the European window shuts to sell people. So I think we still might see some outgoings, not sure who or when, because I'm not really seeing any rumblings, but I do know that Slimani and King have already come out and said we want to fight for our places. So depends what kind of conversations they're having with Rodgers at the minute around what they want to do.
Yeah, and I think the reason why I think we were just discussing before this, the reason we thought there'd be more outgoing, especially under a new manager, and there'd be more people coming for our players, likes of Kings, James, and the Slimani, as you mentioned, and Silva. But I don't know what you think about this, James, but I think the wages is the main reason why people aren't coming in, because for them they could sit and get twice the amount, to be honest, compared to if they would go to another club. And since they've got money on the contract and that's what they were promised, that's why they're still part of our squad.
Yeah, totally agree with what you're saying. I think Slimani's on 60,000 a week, Silva's on 80,000 a week. Obviously that they're not going to go quickly.
I think we've lost James there a second. I'll just read out kind of from Alan Jones. The squad looking great. The Premier League is probably the toughest league in the world, and we are equipped too well.
That's easy for you to say.
What do you mean? We seem to be losing James there a little bit. James, if you can hear me, could we move on to the next slide, please? So what we've got now is James, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you move on to the next slide, please?
Yeah, we are. It's updating.
Right, okay. Teething problems. We'll get better at this as we go along. But for now, yeah. So what this window is basically is we're just going to talk about the Premier League head-to-heads. It's appeared on screen. Brilliant. So we've got our win record versus Wolves. What do you guys think? It's going to be a hard game, and it's the kind of team that we need to beat in order to come into the top six. And they're going to be one of our top rivals. I know they've got the Europa League and stuff like that, but if you look at the statistics, I think they're very, very similar. They're very well drilled. They're very well rehearsed. Wolves, and yeah. What else would you like? What else do you guys think as well about the Wolves game? And just going head to head, you can see they've got the same goal scored. They've got the same number of draws, but Wolves have an extra win. So it just depends on how do you guys think we've strengthened compared to last year. Do you think we can turn, for example, that 4-3, which was a great game, but I would have liked to be on the opposite side of that? Do you think we could turn these games into wins against teams like Wolves and against teams like Everton that have strengthened a lot as well? So what do you think to that, James?
So So I think Wolves finished the season quite well. Obviously got into the Europa. I think they've won tonight. However, they have got like a 2,000-mile round trip. So as we've seen in the past with Champions League and Europa, teams don't usually come back very well from long trips, jet lag, etc. So fingers crossed they'll be a bit tired. They are professional athletes, so they'll probably do well. But hopefully we can rip them to pieces using our pace, because I don't think they'll be able to handle the pace, if I'm honest.
You see, I think Wolves, because of the formation they play and how they play, I think the pace combined with the jet lag and the fact that they're travelling quite a bit, I think that's the issue kind of coming into it. But I think their game is quite similar to ours in that aspect. So I can see them doing well for sure.
Yeah, I think so. And I think I don't think they've got enough squad for the Europa League, if I'm honest. They did well last season because I think if you concentrate on just the league, you do well. But I think next season with the Europa, if they go far in the Europa, I think they'll really struggle as the season goes on, especially towards Christmas. So I'm hoping to see them drop down a bit.
Sounds good, sounds good. Shall we move on to the next slide? See if this goes. Is it appeared? Let's have a look if it appears. Sorry guys, we're trying to do this in real time. So there's a bit of lag between Facebook, Skype and the program we're using, so just bear with us. Terry Fuller says no jet lag, not enough time zones. Do we know where they're playing? I think they were last time I was reading they were 2-0 up, weren't they?
Yeah, so I think they're in Armenia.
Armenia is that's still a distance. That's probably why we're playing on the Sunday, which is quite good. We get to see it on telly, so that'll be quite good. Okay, so one player that's hopefully going to help us this season, like he has been doing for a few seasons now, is Jamie Vardy. So we can see appearances 34, goals 18, assists 4, shot accuracy 57%, penalties 4, average distance 5.4. I'm guessing that's kilometres. So
Miles.
He does cover a lot of distance. How do you guys think he'll do this year? Because he's been averaging about 20, I wouldn't say averaging, but it's been around 20 goals a season since we came into the Premier League, barring the Great Escape season. So how many goals do you think he'll get this year? Because it's going to be a big challenge, to be honest. Because of his age now, he's getting to a point where maybe he's not running as much, maybe he's not scoring as much. But I think he'll still have a decent season. Compared to last season where he was starved of the ball, and well, we all know that, we all saw that. Now we've got players that are basically playing the opposite. We used to play Ndidi and Mendy and they were very deep. Now we've got Tielemans and Maddison that were much more forward. So how do you think he'll do this season? Will he get these 18 goals? Do you think he'll get higher, lower, the same amount? I think maybe, what's his face? Rodgers can get him firing back on all cylinders. He seems to have got the right man management in, and towards the end of last season, it just seems to have took off and flown under Rodgers, and I think he can do quite well. I think he can do pretty well, but maybe not a golden boot. But I think for the last few seasons he's been in the top 5. I think this season he may potentially slip out of that, but he'll be in and around there. What do you think, James?
Yeah, I think you're totally right. One thing I've seen around Brendan Rodgers' teams is that he doesn't rely on one goal scorer. So I expect Tielemans, Perez to start scoring as well. So if Jamie does score another 18, I expect Perez to score at least 12. Tielemans probably 8 or 9. You've got Madders to add into that mix as well. But if Jamie plays the way he played last part of last season through pre-season, you're probably looking at 24 to 26 goals, because we've now got amazing service. Before first half of the season, last season, he wasn't getting the service. He didn't look his normal sharp self and motivated, but now he does. If we give him that service, then there's no end to what he can do.
Yeah, I think Phil just commented, I expect more goals from the midfield. I think that's exactly what you were saying, James. It's something that we need to work on and kind of take, as Vardy's getting older, as I wouldn't want to say a one-trick pony, because he continues to do it again and again. He's kind of, once he reinvented himself, he's changed the way that he's played against different opponents. And against the top six, we all know how great he is. But yes, we definitely need more goals from the midfield and just good service into him. So one of the people that could do that, and as James mentioned earlier, is Jose Perez. So as you see there, this is the stats for last season: 36 appearances, 12 goals, 2 assists, 0 penalties. Shooting accuracy 62.2, which is actually higher than Vardy, which is quite surprising. And the average distance 5.8, so he works a lot more. So I think we've all seen he'll as he was playing under Newcastle and as he was playing pre-season, he'll come off the right, and that position will be his. A couple of times I saw them switching places with Albrighton, like we've done under Ranieri for years now. But he's going to be the guy that just gets in the pocket of space. So as Vardy drags somebody in, or Brighton drags, Tielemans or Maddison drags somebody, he'll be the person to come into space. And I think it's going to be a good signing because he's been going up year after year. I've just got it down here. Let me just have a look. I think he's been scoring more and more goals every season. So the first year he came in 2014, he was 7 goals, 0 assists. 2015-16, 6 goals, 3 assists. 2017-18, 8 goals, 6 assists. And then last season, as you can see on the board, it was 12 goals and 2 assists. So he has been getting more in front of goal, and he's been getting, after last season, more and more assists. So I think it is going quite well. I think he can do a really, really good job in that role of being a number 10, the kind of drifting in, but also playing on the wing. So with Vardy coming in, he'll be able to get more space. And let me know what you think, everybody, about what were you expecting of Perez this season, because I think he's going to be a right asset and a right signing, and it's the perfect kind of player that we were kind of asking for. But I think with the situation at Newcastle is the reason why we got him, rather than us being an incredibly good team. But I do think Rodgers had a huge part to play in it as well.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. Also, a few games I saw last season, Perez was on the right, just stuck on the right wing a little bit. I don't personally think his service was great in Newcastle. With Tielemans, Madders pinging balls all over the place to him, I think he's got goals in him. I think he might have a few goals cutting in from the right. Even if he plays 2 up front with Vardy, I can see him scoring goals because Vardy will run down the side. He'll take a lot of players with him and leave Perez to score goals. So I think between the two of them, it's a great partnership.
Yeah, and so do we think he's going to get more than 12 goals? Keith Aubrey says only 14 players scored more goals than him in the Premier League, and one of those was Vardy. And Brett Coombs saying Perez will score 15 goals plus, and as also said Perez has better control. So I think it's been a great signing. It's something that we've been kind of wanting, but it does kind of beg the question what we're going to do with Barnes, because at the moment from pre-season it looks like Albrighton's got that place back, and players like did Gazelle go to? Is he part of that deal with Pratt?
Not that I've seen it, just a straight buy for him.
They have bought him. I don't know if I've seen that he's been let go. But anyway, I totally understand what you're saying. Albrighton's been amazing pre-season. He just seems like he seems like the Albrighton we bought a few years ago. He's just been regenerated. He's come back. He's a lot sharper. His crosses have got better. His shooting's got better. I think Albrighton do really well. I know Tom on the content team loves Albrighton, always an unsung hero, and I think he is. I think he's one of them players that has got the ability to cut inside and even whip the ball into Vardy and Perez, and I think that's a great ability to have. As for Barnes, he's young. The only thing that worried me about Barnes is his conversion rate's quite low. He has great chances but doesn't really convert that much. But I think under Rodgers he'll also be a great future asset. And also Albrighton's got his confidence back, so he will help Barnes as well, and I think both of them together will be fighting for that spot, and I think it'll be a great battle. I mean, it's a tough choice for Rodgers, but what a great choice to have. Yeah, and it gives people fighting for places. So the reason why Barnes got his chances because Albrighton had that horrible injury, and then Barnes was bought. Well, we got Barnes in on loan just as Albrighton got injured, which nobody wants to see, especially such a good player like Albrighton. But it gives that competitiveness, and also it allows, I know Barnes has signed a new contract, it allows Barnes to learn from people like Perez, people like Albrighton, and Gray as well. So he's got the opportunity to not just mentor, but I think he'll be one of the first subs that come on. So, for example, you look at the Atalanta game, Harvey Barnes is one of the people that came on for, I think it was Perez or Brighton, either one of the wingers, but he's in and around that first team, pushing his way in. And again, with the right guidance, with the right positioning, with the right finishing, he's actually going to be a great player, but it's going to take a few more times out of it. So this is the formation that we have decided on between me and James that we believe will start against Wolves. So we've got Perez and Vardy up front, Albrighton, Maddison and Tielemans in a 3, Chowdhury Holding in the CDM, Chilwell, Soyuncu, Evans and Pereira. So that, for me, that me and James, both see that this formation will work. It could kind of change, I think, with Perez moving into the right-hand side and playing the 4-1-4-1, similar to what we did last season. But apart from that, I think that's a pretty solid team for this season as well. The only thing I think a lot of people will query is probably the Soyuncu and the Evans partnership. But I think, yeah, it will be a form. It will, under the right guidance. Now the window's shut, we kind of have to have the guidance in Will Rogers to train Soyuncu, but also Evans to teach him the ropes. And what it is as well with Maguire going, Maguire was more right-footed, and it meant that Evans had to play on the left. Now I listened to interviews afterwards earlier last season. Evans is a natural right-footer. And I don't know about Soyuncu. I think he's ambidextrous. He can play with either foot. So it gives Evans his position back. But it also means that he's more likely to lead that line from that position. So with him, with Chilwell and Pereira's looking fantastic in pre-season as well. And Chowdhury, I'm really hoping will be able to start. With Ndidi out at the African Cup of Nations, and he's just recently come back, it will be his to lose. And bearing in mind, we've got Mendy around the squad as well. So apart from that, is there anything you would change this? I'm just looking through the comments now. But yeah,
one thing to add, Neil.
Yeah.
We put Chowdhury in the CDM role, which I think is a great. I think he'll have a great season. We've not put Ndidi in there because I think it's too soon. He's only just come back from the African Cup of Nations. They'll want to get his fitness back to fitness level. They'll want to get him in the tactics, make sure he understands the tactics. So I think it's a bit too soon. I think we'll definitely probably see him take part in the Chelsea game. But as for the Wolves game, I think it's possibly too soon. The same with Prayat. It's too soon to go through tactics, etc. He might be match fit, but is he up to the Premier League speed yet? Probably not. So they might want to phase him in. So he might play Chelsea, I don't know, but I don't see either of them probably taking part in the starting 11 on Sunday. They may well, probably, I don't know, be on the bench, I'm not sure, but I know that Rodgers will want to hit the ground running, he'll want to press at pace, he'll want to distribute at pace, and I think that's one thing we need to do. And I think Chowdhury's great at that. He's great at tackling when he gets the ball, and his distribution at pace is just simply amazing. And he helps Tielemans, Maddison and the Albrighton to get there at pace and pass the ball to Vardy and Perez. And I can see great things coming from that 5.
With the right-hand side?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And also it's because of the situation that we're in, the situation that Ndidi's in, it's actually Chowdhury's to lose. So I know that they played at times when we were against a top team, they played Chowdhury and Ndidi. And I know that hopefully with the summer, Chowdhury is the player that can move us forward, being a local Leicester lad as well. Of course, we want to see him in the team as well. But yeah, him would be a great, if everything goes well. At times, I do think we saw in the under-21s, he's still a little bit hot-headed. He still comes in with a crunching tackle that 9 times out of 10 works, and 10% of the time can potentially might cost us a game, but he's 21. He's got plenty of time to learn, and under Rodgers, he'll go brilliantly. The only issue I have is that when we attack, when we've got both wingers flying with Chilwell and Pereira, are we going to leave ourselves a bit too exposed at the back? That's the only issue with this formation. But if you look at it, if you take out Chowdhury, Soyuncu, Evans, and Schmeichel, the rest of the team are pretty much there to get the ball to Vardy. So it's looking really, really hopeful for this season. I was always hopeful coming into it, but it's looking really good. Something that we're going to plug as well. The lovely Jamie, who you know from the Fox's Arms in Alcudia, is donated a £50 voucher for the 100% LCFC Fantasy Football League. So simply go to, I think it's fancy.premierleague.com and enter the code premierleague.com, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and go to that, and then just enter the code SHSGPS. And for your chance to win and get involved in this, it should be a good time. I think what numbers were we on last time, James? I think you were looking this afternoon.
350.
350. So we're on 350 people. So we'd love to get you, if you've got a team, you've got a day before. I think to submit your first team before we get into the first match, which is Liverpool versus Norwich. So that should be good. So yeah. Make sure you join that. Just a quick plug, and yeah, definitely you'll see myself, you'll see James, you'll see Phil, you'll see Jamie in there as well. So if you ever see us in face, you can face to face. You can always rub our face in it when you're above us. So have you got anybody that's kind of a dark horse you want to say for Leicester or James so far for your fantasy team?
No, I've got Maddison in there. Scores great during fantasy points most years. But I've got Vardy in there as captain. He'll score lots as well. So hoping for a good year for me. As long as we beat Jamie, I think that's all that matters. Otherwise, we'll never hit the end of it.
Oh yeah, every Sunday it will just be a complete update.
Yeah.
But yeah, another thing we wanted to mention as well is the game on the 8th of September. So, as a lot of you know, I know Phil's been plugging it recently as well. There is a charity game down at Loughborough Dynamo, and so it will be the 100% LCFC versus the 100 Leicester City Legends game. So, we'd love for you to come down to it. We will be playing in the kit in the middle, as you can see there, with the Indy Coupe shirt. That's going to be us. So myself will be playing, Phil and a few others. But yeah, if you'd come down, it'll be a good time. We're just going to play a bit of football, get to meet some legends. And it should be a really good time. And if you would like to purchase one shirt, we've actually teamed up with 3 Retro. They've been kind enough to send us a link. So if you look down here at 3 Retro 10, that's the code you can use. If you want to buy a shirt, you'll get 10% off. You'll help support us and the show. And yeah, it's greatly appreciated. But yeah, just going back to that, we shall be playing 2 p.m. kickoff at Loughborough Dynamo on the 8th of September. So we'll keep plugging that for a while. You'll get to mingle, more importantly, with the 100% Legends, the Leicester City Legends, and then the 100% people as well. So you're more than welcome to come down. It's not going to be too serious. We're here to provide content and mingle with the fans and raise some money for charity, most importantly. So I think it'd be a great day out. Some of the 100% guys are playing. So if you want to see Phil play, bring your cameras. That might be funny to watch. I'm not sure. Chappers will be down there. So if you want to see a Jamie Vardy lookalike not play like Jamie Vardy, then come down. We saw Lee play for the Legends last time. I think he ran about 15 minutes, didn't he, Neil, before he collapsed? Yeah, we'll leave that for Lee. Okay. But yeah, the code is, if you go to 3retro.com and type in 3, when you're ordering, just use the coupon code 3retro10. That would really help us. It would help 100%, and it would just, that would be great. Right, moving on to the next slide. Next slide, I sound like I'm in the presentation here. Hey, it's supposed to be quite informal.
It doesn't sound informal.
Sorry.
It doesn't sound informal.
Yeah. Well, that's the issue. Do you want to take this away, James, with your mosaic?
Yep, it's on screen now.
Yes.
Okay. So as everyone's aware, we're coming up to the first anniversary of the awful death of Vichai, and us guys at 100% wanted to do something special this year. I think it's fair to say, Neil.
Yep, for sure.
So me and Phil had a discussion around what can we do that kind of is great for the fans, but also something to remember him by. So we came up with an idea of a mosaic. This is kind of on the screen. You can see the kind of picture we're looking at. So we're going to put everybody's photo that sends us in. So we want to see everybody in their kits, their families in the kits, whether you're home away, whether it's an old kit, whether it's a new kit. So we want to put everybody in this photo we can. We'll create the mosaic as best we can with everyone's photo, and it should look a bit like this. As we get to know what the fixture is, I'm not sure if it'll be the Remembrance Day fixture, which is now a Sunday. I'm not sure it'll be that fixture or a fixture nearer to the anniversary. But we are going to get this made, and we'll probably offer it out to buy. All profits will go to the Vichai Foundation, and I think that's right to do that. We've also had a conversation with Phil around, we want to make this big. How can we make this as big as possible? So nearer the time, what we'll do is we'll make this as big as possible. We'll try and get some print organisations involved and see if we can get this blown up properly and maybe unveil it across the COP like we have done before on various other things. And I think that'd be a great way to remember our chairman for all the great work he did. And it's one of them things that everybody can be part of. Every Leicester City fan should be part of this, and it'll be a great thing to be part of as well. So just send us in your pictures. I know Phil's going to start plugging this as soon as possible, so we can get all your pictures in, and we'll start getting this made and make this a year to remember and something to say thank you for all that he did for us.
Yeah, guys, you smashed it there. Yeah, so just send us the pictures to our 100% email group, 100% messenger. We should be able to pick that up, or whatever social media you're on, send it to us as well. We'll be greatly appreciated. We'll be getting involved. So it's any era, any kit with your family members, that'd be brilliant as well. If you've got some of them that are wearing Leicester kits as well. Just the more family, and 100% and Leicester City, we all, and Vichai knew especially the power of family and community, and we wanted to feel like we could give back to what he's done for us. And we wouldn't be in this position if so. So yeah, send us the pictures. We'll be more than happy to do this, and hopefully we can get something sorted before the game. Whether it's either the instant, the date close to the crash, or the November Remembrance incident. Next slide, please.
I think that's it now.
That's
got anything else you want to say?
It's 5 minutes over, but I think we'll see how this goes when this go out. But thank you for all your lovely comments, Anthony, Ian Widdowson, Joe Callis, Terry Fuller. Thank you for your kind words about the mosaic, and yeah, we'd love to hear your guys' opinion as well. What do you guys think about this show? How we could improve it? Any other sections that you want to hear about that other people aren't talking about on their other shows as well? But apart from that, have you got anything else to add, James?
No, I know it's the first show, but I've really enjoyed it. Hope all our viewers have enjoyed it. I think this is what Phil wanted. So Phil wanted us to do a kind of stats formation show. When we get into the season, we'll start doing more head-to-heads, players to look out for, fantasy dream team players to look out for. So I think that'd be good.
Yeah, that should be. Yeah, that was so. Yeah, I agree, and hopefully things will get better from time to time. We're still ironing out a few creases, and the disadvantage of doing this live is you can only prepare a certain amount. So hopefully over time, I think these sessions will get better. I know I've really enjoyed doing it so far and preparing with James as well. So it's been going really well. But apart from that, yeah, I think that's good. So thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in and watching this. Make sure to tune in next Thursday show. Make sure to check out the other Sunday show with Jamie. It will be greatly appreciated. But apart from that, it's been brilliant. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next Thursday.